helping us to get things done. And also it may be very bad if it becomes, if it's overwhelming for us. Okay, I have a notice that there's bad network quality. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay,
can hear.
It's okay, because I have noticed that I have a bad network quality. Okay, I will try to speak straight into the microphone. What is stress? Stress is a feeling of being under too much mental or emotional pressure. Pressure turns into stress when you feel unable to cope, when you feel that it's overwhelming and you cannot cope. So stress can affect how you feel, how you think, how you behave, and how your body works. That means stress can manifest itself physically. So common signs of stress include sleeping problems, sweating, loss of appetite, difficulty concentrating. You may also feel anxious, irritable, or low in self-esteem, and you may have racing thoughts, worrying constantly, and things go through your head again and again repeatedly. You may notice that a person under stress will lose the temper easily and drink more or act unreasonably. That means there may be abuse of alcohol and drugs. And also a person may experience headache, muscle tension, pain, or dizziness. Okay, next slide. Okay, let me get this out so that you can see. External sources of stress. Stress can come from work, and there are also life stresses. When it comes from work, it comes in the form of when a person is unhappy in the job, when a person has to work under dangerous conditions, like working with gas and all that, heavy workload, and also sometimes there may be discrimination and harassment, or there may be difficulties with management. Stress can also come from living itself, from financial obligations, income and expenses, how to balance income and expenses, from grief, for example, death of a loved ones, or even death of a pet, from moving house, illness, injury, and definitely from loss of job, because that would mean loss of income. So stress comes from external sources, and also stress may come from internal sources. Okay, my PowerPoint slide is working slow. I think it's because of my network connection. Okay, stress comes from within as well. When it comes from within, there is fear, uncertainty. For example, during these MCO times, when is it going to open? What is it going to happen? What are we in for? And all that. Attitude, how you take stress. The attitude also plays a very important part of how stress works on us or takes effect on us. Our perception. Is it through the heaviness of the stress, or are we aggravating the seriousness of the stress? There are a lot of changes, and again, grief features here. Unrealistic expectations, we expect too much, beyond our capacity, or financial setback, like what we have said just now. Okay, sometimes stress comes from inside us rather than outside. You can stress yourself. A person can stress himself or herself just by worrying about things. There's fear and uncertainty. There's frequent news about the threat of terrorist attack, for example. Global warming, toxic chemicals can also cause stress feelings. Now, these cause stress. We have no control. And although disasters are rare events, but because of the media play up, the wide coverage, the vivid coverage with all the pictures and all that, it seems more likely to occur than they really are, and that may stress us out. There will be also a lot of worries of being not able to finish a project, for example, for students not able to finish an assignment on time, or there are too many assignments at one time, for example, and trying to juggle your time to complete whatever is given to you will also cause a lot of stress and worries. Attitudes and perception. For example, if stolen things are stolen and it's covered by insurance, then it will cause less stress. If it's precious and hard to replace, then it will cause more stress. Unrealistic expectations. If we expect to do everything right all the time, definitely it will stress us out more than otherwise. So we have to know what to expect. We should acknowledge that we are not perfect. No one is perfect, and we can only try our best and do our best, but we cannot be perfect every time, all the time. Okay, changes also cause stress. For example, things in life, happy events may also cause stress. For example, a wedding, someone going to get married, or a job promotion which comes with heavier responsibilities. Unpleasant events such as divorce, and major setbacks or death in the family also is involve significant sources of stress. Okay, now I would like to invite from the participants, would anyone like to share a stressful experience that you had encountered and tell us how you cope? Would anyone like to volunteer? From the participants, would anyone be brave enough, to share a stressful experience? For example, wow, you have 5 assignments, to complete within 1 week. How's that? How would you cope? For example, how would you juggle your time to finish all the assignment? Now you have to have very good time management expertise, right? Now you must know how to manage your time well, how to get the resources that you need in order to write your assignment well. And actually, there should be a lot of pre-preparation, right? So if you have been preparing beforehand, then your stress will lessen, right? So that means be prepared, get ready. That will help a lot. Okay. Actually, this is done by Harvard University. Harvard University is studying, brain architecture on children, on very young children, and they realize a lot of stress we experience as we grow up will manifest itself during adulthood. So there are 3 kinds of stress responses. Stress can be positive. That means it helps us get work done. So if it's positive, there will be a brief increase in heart rate, mild elevation in stress hormone levels, which motivate us. So positive stress is actually motivating. The second type of stress is tolerable. That means it's only short term. For example, 5 assignments in 1 week. Okay, so you get everything into action very fast, and you manage your time and do all your assignments. So during that period, you have tolerable stress. That means stress that you can manage, and it helps you get your work done. The other type of stress is toxic stress. That means it happens for a long period of time. There's prolonged activation of stress response systems in our body, and so mentally, physically, it's taxing on us. And there may be no support. That means no people around you, for example, parents or friends or peers who will support you. And so this stress can become toxic. So we have this toxic stress is what we have to guard ourselves against, and make sure that we can manage and not get into a toxic state. Okay. So there are many types of stress. Okay, stress can develop into an adjustment disorder when there's trouble adjusting to a stressful change. That means stress is become toxic. There is a difficulty going about with the daily routine for more than just a brief period. An adjustment disorder is a type of stress-related mental illness that can affect your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors. So what are the signs and symptoms of an adjustment disorder? It includes anxiety, poor school or work performance. For your case, poor college and university work performance. Your relationship problems, perhaps with your peers, your friends and your lecturers or whoever is in your surrounding. There may be a lot of sadness. If thoughts of suicide come across you frequently, then it's a cause of worry and concern. and you have trouble sleeping. So when you have all these signs and symptoms, then you need to take into consideration the heaviness of all these problems. So how do you cope with stress? When stress will flood our bodies with hormones, our hearts will pound, our breathing will speed up, and our muscles will tense. So stress response is a normal reaction to threatening situations. Since prehistory, it helps us what we call fight or flight situation. It helps us. It gives us survival skills, like when an animal attacks you or natural disaster strikes. What do we do? We straight away get into action. So when there are challenging situations in daily life, stress response is being set off, okay? And we get into action and solve all those problems. Okay, but sometimes we can't avoid all sources of stress in our body, in our lives, and we wouldn't want to, because stress, as we mentioned just now, can be motivating. We can develop healthier ways of responding to them by invoking the relaxation response. Relaxation response is a technique developed at Harvard Medical School by cardiologist Dr. Herbert Benson. Okay, we will come to that. Relaxation response is the opposite of stress response. When stress gets into our daily life, how do we relax? Okay, so with all these relaxation exercises, we will become calm, and we will be able to handle our situation much, much better. So here are 6 relaxation techniques that can help us evoke the relaxation response and reduce stress. There's also the link here which you can access. Breath focus. If you focus on your breathing, it will help you relax very, very fast. Okay, by taking long, slow, and deep breaths. That is, we use our abdominal muscles to breathe, and by using our abdominal muscles to breathe, our diaphragm will rise and fall. And so actually we are breathing from using our diaphragm from our belly rather than using our chest. Okay, and as we breathe, we must gently disengage our mind from distracting thoughts. That means we focus on the breathing procedure, and that will help us calm down very, very fast. And this exercise can be helpful for people with eating disorders to help them focus. Okay, it may not be appropriate for those with health problems that makes breathing difficult, those with respiratory ailments or heart failure. Okay, the next relaxation technique is body scan, where you blend your breath focus with progressive muscle relaxation. That means you start by relaxing from your toes, slowly you move out, you use your mind to focus on relaxing every part of your body slowly, and that is called progressive muscle relaxation. We relax our muscles, for example, from the tip of our toes, and then we move up until we relax the muscles around our face and head. Okay, so this will actually boost awareness of the mind and body connection and help us stay very calm. Another way is guided imagery. That means we think of beautiful scenes of places where we have visited, and that will calm us down and make us happy, and we have a positive vision of ourselves. The next one is mindfulness meditation. It will involve sitting comfortably and focus on the breathing and bring the mind's attention to the present moment. So this is momentarily concentration. That means you concentrate on the moment. And whenever your mind wanders off, you bring back your wandering mind again to the now and here. This is called mindfulness meditation. You can also practice yoga, tai chi, qigong, and whatever exercises that will help you in doing rhythmic breathing, and also help your chi or your body mechanism move in a smooth and good way. So that means the chi flow in our body is smooth, and that will help us calm down very fast. But in order to do all these exercises, we must here the advice is to check with your doctor whether we have health problems or not. Okay. The next one will be repetitive prayer for those who are spiritual. You know, if a person who is anxious or stressed, do this repetitive prayer, that person comes down very, very fast. Okay, it's appealing if religion and spirituality is meaningful to a person. So all these are the exercises that you can try. Okay, right now I would like to share with you an awareness breathing exercise which everyone can do. And for you students, whenever you get stressed, anytime, anywhere, wherever you are, whenever you feel stressed, just relax. If you can sit in a comfortable position, you can also do it while you are standing. In your position, of course, the best will be to sit comfortably in a quiet place, but this may not happen all the time. So the important thing is to relax. You place your palms on your navel or on your lap, and you focus your mind on your abdomen. You can also close your eyes and use your mind to focus on your abdomen. This is to help you breathe using your abdominal muscles. So most important thing here is to relax. You breathe in through your nose and note your abdomen rising. Then you breathe out slowly, either through your nose or through your mouth. Remember, when you breathe in, it must be through the nose. When you breathe out, you can breathe out through the nose or through the mouth. And when you breathe in, your abdomen will rise. And when you breathe out, your abdomen will fall. Now, if you cannot feel the rising and the falling of your abdomen, don't worry, don't force. This is also an exercise of your mind over your body, and you relax. So when thoughts and feelings arises, just note. For example, you feel sad, so you tell yourself sad, 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 while you continue breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your mouth. You note a few times the feeling that goes through you, the thoughts that go through your mind, the feelings that you feel in your body. For example, itchiness. If you feel that you want to scratch, you also note the urge to scratch. And in this way, you maintain continuous awareness, okay? Now, having said this, I would like everyone to now relax. If possible, close your eyes. Feel comfortable. Note the breathing in through your nose. And try to note the abdomen rising. If you cannot feel your abdomen rising, don't worry. Just relax. And then you breathe out through your nose or your mouth. And you're supposed to note the abdomen falling. But if you cannot note, don't worry also. Just relax. Just focus your mind on your abdomen. Okay, if thoughts arises, sad, 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 you note happy, happy, happy. Or if you're smiling, then note smiling, smiling, smiling. Whatever sensations come to you, you also note itchy, itchy, itchy. You know. And if you note the itchiness and you want to scratch, then you note the urge to scratch. You note your hand moving out to scratch, and you note the scratching process. And then you note, how do you feel? This is focusing on the present moment. And you are bringing your full awareness to yourself, to what's going on in you, in your thoughts, physically and mentally. And you continue breathing in through your nose and breathing out, either using your nose or through your mouth. If you cannot note the rising and falling of the stomach, the abdomen, don't worry. Just focus your mind on your abdomen. And this is called deep breathing exercise. So you just continue breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your mouth. And you feel yourself relaxing. Whatever thoughts that come to your mind, you just label the thoughts. Worry, worry, worry if you are worrying. Planning, planning, planning if you are planning. Smiling, if you are smiling, just note you're smiling. If you are sad, just note sad. Whatever feelings come to you, you just note. Note a few times, let go, and then bring your concentration back to the rising and falling of your abdomen. Now, slowly open your eyes and note that you want to open your eyes. And who would like to tell me how you feel? Do you feel any difference? Yes or no? Okay, so if this relaxation doesn't work for you, now anybody would like to share your favorite relaxation technique? Like just now I went through, there are so many relaxation techniques, right? Shared by the doctor from Harvard University. Yes? Someone is saying something? Choose a relaxation technique that works for you. Okay. Now, not all technique, there is no single technique that works for everyone. Okay. So each of us have our own relaxation technique. So that is how we can manage our daily stress. Now we come to anxiety disorder. Anxiety is a normal emotion to stressful situations and can help you be more focused and alert. You see, anxiety is common because we feel anxious, we feel worried from time to time, especially when we are faced with stressful situations like an exam coming, or for those who are going on their first date, or those who are doing a big presentation, they can feel anxious. So feeling extremely worried or afraid for too long, or you feel panicky, then you have to worry because this may be signs of an anxiety disorder. Anxiety disorder are characterized by fear and anxiety. Fear is an emotional response to something that is perceived. That means that fear is something you perceive. It may not have happened yet. And it can be threatening. And anxiety is an anticipation of a future threat. That means all fear and anxiety are what has not happened yet. You just fear that something may happen, something bad may happen, or you are anxious that something is going to happen in future. So you have to understand that, know what are these and learn how to manage. Now, fear and anxiety may be related, but they are different. Fear is associated with automatic arousal necessary for fight or flight. Example, your heart rate and breathing will increase, get faster. The thoughts of immediate danger and escape behavior, for example, you want to escape, think of ways to escape. And then anxiety is associated with muscle tension. You feel very anxious, you are tense up, you are watchful, you are trying to prepare for future danger, and you are cautious on how to avoid. For example, you don't want to go to crowded places and all that. Okay, so compulsions and compulsive acts can be defined as repetitious, purposeful, It can be physical and mental actions that an individual feels compelled to engage in. So, according to your rules and in a stereotyped manner. Now, if it becomes very worrisome, sometimes panic attack develops. So panic attack is there are sudden feelings of terror that can strike any time without warning. For example, suddenly you feel that as if the world is crashing around you. So a panic attack can develop without any warning, without any notice. There can be episodes which can occur anytime. Panic attack can also occur during sleep. Panic attack may seem like having a heart attack or dying or going crazy. So the fear and terror of experiences during panic attack are not in proportion to the true situation. We must understand it's not true. It's an attack, but then it's a perceived reality. It's perceived, it's not real, but it's something that is perceived. And so the experiences during a panic attack are not in proportion to the true life situation and may not be related to what's happening around you. So what are the symptoms of panic attack? Racing heart, feeling weak, faint, dizziness, tingling or numbness in the hands, fingers, senses of terror, feeling sweaty or having chills, chest pain, breathing difficulties, feeling a loss of control. So panic attacks are generally brief. It happens briefly, it goes away very fast also. Less than 10 minutes, although some symptoms may persist. And if the symptoms persist, then it becomes a panic disorder. So I would like to share with you, well-being is very, very important. Okay. You see, the most important way is to achieve peace of mind. And how do we achieve peace of mind? We have to be true to ourselves. We should know that life is uncertain and watch our own thinking. You see, many of us mentally torture ourselves daily with things we tell ourselves. This is called auto-suggestion. We may tell ourselves negative things about ourselves, and also we can tell ourselves positive things about ourselves. So it depends on what we feed our mind, how we educate ourselves, in other words. So we must trust our thoughts less, pay less attention to the negative thoughts, and focus on what we are thankful for in life. And you will be well on your way to inner peace. So it's very important. Inner peace is very important. So that's why relaxation techniques are very important to help us achieve this. Okay, I would like to share with you Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck is a professor who is doing research currently also on growth mindset and fixed mindset. We can either have a growth mindset, that means we know that we are growing and becoming better, or we have a fixed mindset and we can become negative. Okay. So there are two mindsets, she said, that we can navigate in life with: growth and fixed. So having a growth mindset is essential for success. That means we must think things are possible yet to happen. No matter what your ability is, effort here, you see she mentioned, is what ignites that ability and turns it into an accomplishment. So it's very important, the right effort to accomplish things with a positive mental attitude. Okay, I would like to share with you these two parting messages by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Life is a journey. Life is not a destination. Remember this, and to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. So don't let others influence you in what you want to be, in what you want to become. With this, I wish you all the best in your studies, in your future career, and may you have a wonderful journey in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Julie.
Okay.
So the thing that take away from this is that as you said, by worrying too much about things, or in other words, perfection itself can actually kill us in a way. And it may be nerve-wracking to make our struggles known to other people. And maybe because we're having the thought of how they might respond to us as we open up. But we need to know the fact that anxiety is sort of like a magnifying glass where it magnifies all the bad things. So we should always try to take that magnifying glass and change it to a normal lens so that everything is actually just fine. Okay,
That's right.
so now next our discussion is about depression. There is a saying that depression is like having a body that wants to survive, but with a mind that wants to die. So let us invite Madam Shalini to give her opinion on this discussion.
Thanks. It's not Aman. I'm very happy to be here today to connect with all the students from Uni 10 and also the fellow members from Befrienders and the public alike. So I hope you can hear me, yeah? All right, so I take that you can hear me. So basically, in order to manage and deal with depression, first we need to understand what is depression. Now, in terms of, we have a large audience here who consists of university students. Well, there are a lot of individuals who are actually going through depression. So I hope this sharing session will actually help you in that way. So if you see, typically, depression is basically a mental health illness, and it can affect anyone, yeah, regardless of the age, race, income, any culture, education level. It can happen to anyone going through a very difficult time or period in their life. So basically, this talk will be very effective for those who know someone who's going through depression, or if you yourself, if you feel some of the signs and symptoms is in line with what you're going through, then this talk will be very beneficial for you. So in terms of depression, this is something which can affect our daily routine. It can affect how we think, how we actually feel emotionally inside, and also how do we actually carry out our daily activities. It can actually affect even our simple activities such as our sleeping pattern, our study performance, our eating patterns, how do we eat, and also if you're working, also the performance in our work, or the Institute of Mental Health in the recent one in 2021. So let's see. Now, there is a survey which has showed that about 500,000 Malaysians were depressed. And out of these 500,000 Malaysians, 108,990 were young Malaysians. So this is a very recent survey. It's in 2019 and by National Health and Morbidity Survey. So what we can see is that it is largely impacting young people as well. Now, why could it actually impact the young people? So probably because they are at a phase where they are transforming into adults and starting to live independently, yeah, and also trying to manage the pressures that they get probably from their or from your academic life, and also maybe some students, they do work, yeah. So, and also a few reasons which I'm going to share with you on some risk factors on why young Malaysians are actually affected by depression. So some of the risk factors I've outlined here, yeah, so there could be more. And in terms of the risk factor of lower socioeconomic status, having financial problems would actually lead to the individual having lots of stress in their life. This is because if you see, they would have not enough resources to actually buy the things, or to, it could be anything to do with studies or something which they need to cope with their stress level. So these financial problems, typically, it would be one of the risk factor for depression, because of the stress of unable to get what they need through financial means. Next is having poor academic performance. So basically, maybe some individuals would face reduce in the progress towards their studies, maybe because of certain issues that they're going through. So this would probably increase their stress level and even make it more stressful for them with other factors, which makes them more prone to depression. And next, we have loss of income. This is definitely due to the pandemic, that's happening. So it's not a new term, loss of income or job. It's very unfortunate, but it has happened to a lot of families. And this kind of stress, which may come from the parents, the household, or even the students themselves who were working before to support themselves, now they don't have enough income to actually fund their academic courses, or even some resources which they need to progress in their life. This would cause them to be very distressed and to be emotionally down for a long period of time. Subsequently, they would, if you see some individuals, right, they actually experience a lack of life satisfaction. So if you see these individuals, they do not enjoy the things that they're doing in their life as previously, before going through this depression. Usually, maybe they like to study, they look forward to going to the college or university, taking classes, asking questions with the lecturer, or they enjoy spending time with their family or friends. But when they do not see meaning in any of the activities that they're doing, this could be a lack of life satisfaction that they're facing, and it could be a risk factor towards depression. If you look at alcohol consumption, basically alcohol consumption, especially high level of alcohol consumption, it definitely alters certain chemicals in the brain, which actually, these chemicals help to produce better mental health. So alcohol consumption definitely would not be advisable for those going through any mental health illness. And it has been studied that high alcohol consumption does lead to a risk factor for depression. Because it makes your emotional and mental state even worse. It doesn't cure it. Next, we would look at family and relationship problems. So typically, those individuals who have family problems at home, everyday arguments or frequent arguments and serious conflicts at home, with even physical fights, they would go through a lot of stress. And this could, it's a possible factor leading to depression if this was something that the individual cannot manage. Relationship problems. So those going through probably relationship problems, like, having commitment to, having a boyfriend or a girlfriend at this young age, maybe it could lead to higher stress if there was problems which arise, and it may lead to depression if there was very distressful events that's been happening for a long period of time. And next, we look at the recent death of a friend or family member. This is to do with grief. grief is something which is very, very emotional, and it is something which happens when you lose a very beloved dear one, a friend or a family member, someone you know who is very dear to your heart. So losing that person would definitely mean that emotionally you may be down, and this could be a risk factor for being depressed. Next is ongoing bullying. So bullying, which happens at home, in the workplace, or in your education institutions, or even on social media, postings of not very nice things about each other, which can be a form of bullying. Yeah, so this can actually lead to lots of stress, and some individuals do go into depression because they cannot, they're unable to handle it, and probably they are going through a lot of emotions, imbalance of emotions inside, and they're going through a lot of pressure. So this would actually affect them emotionally, mentally, physically, and which may lead to depression. So now, coming to all the risk factors you have known, now let's look at the next part here, which is the sign and symptoms of depression. So this is very important to note here. So if you know anyone who is going through these signs and symptoms, or yourself, if you're going through this, so it's important to take the necessary action that you could, which I'm going to discuss with you after this. So one of the signs and symptoms for depression from your behavioral action is usually the person who's depressed, they like to isolate themselves from family and friends. So this is something which happens because usually they don't isolate themselves, but when they're going through the depression phase, suddenly you see a change in their behavior. They like to keep to themselves. They prefer to maybe just be by themselves. It could be in their room, okay, for long periods of time, or it could be generally just in where they stay. But you can see their behavior that they don't prefer to mix too much or socialize with their family and friends, and they like to stay with themselves. So even if their family and friends calls them, they actually do not, accept the invitation. Right. Next, we could see is the withdrawal or lack of interest. Usually, these individuals, they like to, for example, they like to do gardening. Yeah, they enjoy it very much, or they like to do cooking. So usually a person who is going through depression withdraw from the activities that they really like. Yeah, so if they like to do, for example, drawing, they would actually stop doing that favorite activity because they feel that it actually has not much meaning because their emotional state, is not stable, and they are going through the depression. Next is having either too much or too little sleep. So the pattern of these depressed individuals, they may be going through too much oversleeping, and maybe sleeping too little. So it may be a form of maybe a bit of insomnia. They can't sleep well. So usually, of course, being from a student perspective, usually we have a lot of assignments, and some students, you have to stay up late at night and do assignments. Yeah, that's fine. Usually that happens during our student phase. But a difference is during the depressive phase, if emotionally they are very down, and this pattern is occurring very frequently. Yeah, it's usually occurring almost every day. Yeah, so this is something to note, keep tab on. Next, we would have to look at inability to focus and concentrate. So typically the individual is going through so much of low feelings in their mind, and also a lot of clutter of thoughts, a lot of confused thoughts. So they may be not able to focus and concentrate in their studies, in their work or some social activities which they have or which they do. So this is a very obvious form of symptom that you can see in a person who is depressed. So if you see and you do notice someone who's not able to concentrate, so maybe there are some things that you can actually do, which I'm going to share in a moment. Okay, so next, behaviorally, they will have poor memory. They forget things very easily. Typically very easy, simple things like they have the house keys. They just forget about it, where they kept it. And it's something which they do keep tab on every day before going through the depressed period of time. Next would be these individuals usually they experience unbearable pain and they feel trapped. So usually they cannot express their feeling of depression to another person that easily unless they really trust that person. So it takes a bit of prompting for them to share the pain that they're going through, because they feel that no one actually understands the pain that they're going through. They feel probably people who are depressed, they feel that they're the only one going through this situation, which makes it really tough for them. Next is the difficulty in making decisions. So because of their poor cognitive strength and also unable to think probably in a right direction, they would have difficulty in making decisions, which are important, and also stems because they can't focus. Now, I would like to just share with you, so depression is not only in terms of action, but also in terms of the feelings and the moods that they feel within. So usually these feelings, they stem from, they feel empty and hopeless inside, and sometimes they do feel like they are burdened to others. So if they share how they feel to others, sometimes they do feel that they are being a burden to others. Or if they need help because of their depressive feelings, if they need help from their friends and family to, do something to assist them to do a, daily routine, they would feel a bit hesitant because they feel that they are burdened, to another person. And they do lose interest in the things that they enjoy, as I mentioned. Next is they have a loss of warm feelings for family and friends. So they start behaving hostile towards their family and friends. And this is something which happens in the form of rage and irritability. So I'm just keeping a point to focus on that rage and irritability. So when the friends and family members, speak to them, they may show hostile behavior, such as getting very angry, feeling very irritated with what the friend or family member is saying. So these are some of the things that may be going through in the emotional sense of the person who is depressed. Next, we look at feelings of self-blame or guilt. So because they're going through the depression phase, it could be due to a stressful event or a series of stressful events. So they start blaming themselves for how they are feeling. And this results in sudden crying. This is a very tough phase for a person who's depressed. Next is humiliation. So they do feel that if they share with another person, would that, be something which would bring humiliation for them, because it is maybe seemingly like not such a big problem for others. But this is something which is not true, because every problem is individual to every person. Next is the anxiety level. It would increase during the depressive state. So usually when you're stressed, as Ms. Lekian mentioned, you won't have some, anxiety. But when you're depressed, you would have more an increased level of anxiety that you're going through, and it would be being anxious even for the simplest thing that you could be doing every day. And this subsequently will lead the person to be feeling overwhelmed and unable to cope with whatever projects, whatever things that they have to do, because already they are facing all these low feelings and moods, which would actually let them to be feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so now how do we actually help? Now, if the person is going through depression themselves, yeah, so from these signs and symptoms, if you see certain signs and symptoms, have been checked, and there's a thought that's coming through you, could I be going through depression? Okay, so there are some sharings here to help you to identify those methods that you can actually take in order to overcome these depressive feelings. Right, first and foremost, you could speak to the university counselor, and this is something predominantly is a very good form of support provided by each and every college, and university which is established. They do have a university counselor. Now, even in your university, you have a counselor. So do make full connection and full use of this social support that you are getting, because university counselor will be someone who is a professional and who is trained to give counseling sessions and to listen to the stressful feelings and the problems that the student is facing. So this is something which maybe some students may think twice before they go to university counselor, but the truth is the university counselor is actually fully prepared and there to support and help each student in these challenging times especially. So do not hesitate, do seek help from the university counselor. Now, why is this important? It's because one thing, university counselors, they do provide services, which is, I would say most of the time it is free, because it comes in-house with your education. So definitely getting an appointment with the university counselor would be ideal. And when you actually share your thoughts and feelings to another person, in this term, the university counselor, you would feel that your burden or your stress level or your depressive feelings would actually reduce. It's an interesting note here I would like to just share is that probably if you need more counseling services, from psychologists or from online therapy or even some form of treatment, which is very common, nowadays for those individuals facing depression. So more maybe on a more moderate or serious type of depression, you can get contacts of these psychologists, from your school counselor themselves, because they are actually in the field of mental health and they can help you to connect with psychologists, who can provide some treatment which will help you to go through, a difficult time in your life. Next, you could speak to a trusted, friend, family member, or you can get in touch with the support hotline, which is available throughout, Malaysia, to help you to share these distressful feelings that you are going through, and also to release, all those, thoughts that you have, all those depressive feelings that you have, to through your strong social support. Now, social support is very important. If you're going through any difficulties, emotional problems, and especially depression, it's very important to have a strong support, socially. So connecting with people and sharing how you're feeling, your problems, fears, and anxieties will definitely help. So typically this one, right, now is we're still going through the period of MCO or EMCO, so it's being interchanged. So if meeting face to face is not accessible to you, you could definitely pick up the phone and give a phone call. Give a phone call to a trusted friend or family member so that you can share how you're feeling. And it is actually your choice to choose whether you want to, who you want to share to. And it has to be, of course, someone who you trust and who can keep it private and confidential. Now, I will share with you a support hotline, which will definitely aid you to provide emotional support, during these tough times, during this moments where if the individual is going through depression. Next is with these steps, yes, talking to someone and sharing what you're feeling, you can definitely practice self-care, which means that, well, self-care is basically taking care of yourself, isn't it? Having the healthy meals, your students, so definitely you need proper nutrition, that you need to get something which is accessible to you and something which would be relatively healthy. So try to, reduce, junk foods and, those unhealthy foods, because these nutrition will actually stimulate your brain, chemicals, and it will help you in the phase to overcome your depressive feelings. Because it is biological as well. Getting the right amount of physical exercise also would help. So what happens is when you do physical exercise, together, the circulation in your body, it would be better, and it would promote, producing more of those hormones which will reduce your stress level, your cortisol stress levels, and also those hormones which is inducing fear in you. So these physical exercises would actually help to reduce that. And it will slowly, it will reduce your depressive feelings. Having regular bedtime also would actually help. So after you've actually, got your help that you need from your social support, that you choose from, establish a regular bedtime, so that it doesn't have to be exact, every day, but at least it should be in the sense that it would help you to maintain a good physical and mental health. Right, how can I help? So as a person who knows someone who is going through depression, you can help them definitely. And what some of the steps is you could refer them to a mental health professional. So typically, if you are in college or university, you could seek help from a school counselor, the university counselor, and you could ask them to connect, with the university counselor. That's one. And second, you could actually also find for resources for some organizations which actually help to provide therapy online. So if you're going through, depression, and it's something which you cannot get, reduce that depressive feelings for a, longer period of time, you can consider online therapy, because it's something which is very much, it's common, nowadays, because of the, pandemic and a lot of mental, emotional issues happening. So a few online therapy organizations is just like talk about the Help Talk and Relate. So the Help Talk, you can just Google. So it's actually an organization which provides affordable and credible psychologists, mental health professionals who can actually provide counseling, online therapy and counseling to you. So usually the steps, you would have to fill in questionnaire. They would assess you first if you really need, that therapy, and you can actually have an appointment with them. So these are just examples of online therapy sessions that you can access. And, being in the age of technology, it is so easy for us to get resources. But at the same time, a person who's going through depression, maybe they're not mentally fit to maybe to get that sort of help. So as a friend or family member or person who you really know, you can step in and provide the context and help them to communicate. Yeah, be the intermediate person to connect with these mental health organizations. Next is definitely to offer support, understanding, patience, and encouragement. So to listen without judgment and provide emotional support. So basically, do not undermine any problems that these depressed people are going through, because it is something which is very subjective for them. And you can see these other methods here. Last but not the least, so how can Befrienders help? So we are from Befrienders, and if you feel more comfortable talking to someone anonymous and someone is fully trained from Befrienders, you can contact Befrienders, because Befrienders does provide confidential emotional support. So you can actually connect to Befrienders, anyone who's going through any form of depression. Thank you very much for listening. So that's all my sharing for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Srilini. So, as you said, there are many risk factors that may lead to depression, and one of them is lack of life satisfaction, as you said. So, we need to take note that there's no blueprint for living a perfect life anyway. So it's fine to let that negative moment sink in for a while, but never let it overpower us in any way. So thank you. And lastly, the issue that we are bringing forward is suicide. So in this generation, frankly, 2021, it's somehow a trend that we must follow in order to be accepted or not judged by the society. So like as a result, many people are feeling like they are not good enough and not accepted by society, and they choose to self-harm and suicide because of that. So let us welcome Mr. Husairi to discuss on this matter.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me share first, then I will start. Okay, hang on. Okay, give me a second. Okay, you can see and you can hear me okay, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. So thank you, Cik Umaira, Puan Zuraina, and the Walton Club, and of course to students of Unit 10. Well, we have heard talks on stress and anxiety. Now it's about suicide. So how depressing can this get? Huh? So I titled mine to be Conversation That Saves Life. Okay, so I will just start immediately. Now, I understand the students are coming back to the campus this weekend, right? Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe some of you will decide to still continue calling from home, your classes. But I bet many of you will be looking forward to come back to campus because it's fun to be seeing your friends, your lecturers face to face. But just remember SOP. Yeah, I bet you are tired of hearing SOP, yeah? But it's important still. So now about this talk, if you feel strange having to listen to talk on suicide, it's to me, I feel it's good actually. Why I said that? Because it shows that you do not think much about this topic of suicide, and that you are actually acknowledging that you are a strong person. You don't think much about suicide, you don't think much about depression, but you are learning about all this. Okay, you are okay, but how about others? You don't know, right? Your friends, maybe someone you know. Maybe you're not aware that there can be people who badly needing someone to listen to you, or to them. Someone who can empathize with them, whatever issue they are facing. Like all we have been hearing all this talk on stress and depression. Talking and listening are very good therapy. Okay. Okay. Why is mental health very important? I'm sorry.
In my desktop right now, you are not showing full screen.
Oh, okay.
slideshow. Yeah.
How about now? In my screen, I'm showing full screen.
It's still your PowerPoint
Okay.
background, but it's not in full screen.
Okay.
Usari, go slideshow, please. On the top red banner there, slideshow.
Okay, hang on. Huh? Are you seeing full screen?
Yes, now yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Huh? So I'm here now. Okay, why is mental health very important? Okay. Okay, because it affects how we feel, how we think and act as we cope with life. It determines how we handle stress, relate to others and make choices. Now, EQ, many of you would know what's EQ. We all know what's IQ. Everyone's very smart. If not, you're not in Unit 10. IQ is intelligence quotient. EQ, as you know, is emotional quotient, which is very, very important also, especially now. The definition of EQ that I found Googled is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotion in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. You see, it's exactly almost the same as mental health definition. What is mental health? So high EQ to me is same is mental health. We maybe overlook our mental health, our emotional stability, but it is very, very important. That's on mental health. And how about awareness? Awareness about mental health is also very important. Why? Because it increases the chance of early intervention. What I mean by this is you are able to detect if something is wrong with someone, with your friend or even with yourself, of course. Okay, so I'll talk more about this early intervention. Okay, and so why are we talking about suicide? Because it has become a worrying trend. I'll show you afterwards the statistics, and we don't want it to happen to someone we know. Actually, we don't want it to happen to anyone. And important also is so that we can play our part to help. Okay, and these clips of news clips on suicide. I just realized actually last night that we don't read newspapers anymore, especially you all, your generation. We don't read newspaper, but if you do so, these are some clippings of the newspaper. And since we are from Penang, these are Penang news. Man feared death after jumping off Penang Bridge. Father of 4 jumped. It's very depressing. All this news, all this suicidal news. Okay, I'll just move on quickly. Now, a bit on statistics. Globally, these are the numbers. More than 700,000 people die by suicide annually. So it's very, very high. And suicide is a leading cause of death, especially in young people. This is quite surprising to me also, actually. I didn't realize that many young people committed suicide. And for every suicide, there are 30 attempts made. What this means is a successful suicide, someone jumped and died. Actually, at the same time, there are 30 attempts or 30 attempts, 30 trials, or just thoughts into their mind they wanted to commit suicide. So many. Average one suicide every 40 seconds worldwide, meaning one attempt every 2 to 4 seconds. And also, as we know, every suicide is a trial that has long-lasting effects to other people who left behind, the family, especially friends. Okay, and specifically for Malaysia, a study shows 6 to 8 people for every 100,000 individuals per year died of suicide. Okay, it could be higher because many are not reported. And the number of suicide attempts are at least 15 times more than number of completed suicides. Like I mentioned just now, every one attempt, there are many every one successful suicide, there are many other attempts. And in Malaysia, the popular methods of suicide would be hanging, poisoning, jumping off bridge or tall building, and poisoning. Very depressing things to learn. And last thing on suicide statistic is, since 2019, we have, in 2019 alone, we have 609. Last year, we had 631. And this year, just the first 5 months, January to May, already 468. Okay, so total from 2019 to up to May, 1,700 over cases. And this year alone, just the 5 months, is already more than 70%. Okay, so very, very depressing. And surprisingly, maybe not surprising to everyone, in youth, why is high in youth, ages 7 to 20 to 25? We heard recently, I heard maybe quite many years ago, I don't know if you all heard, seen in the news, a girl committed suicide. And the news came out as because the teacher, not accused, just mentioned that she stole a phone or something. And this poor girl committed suicide. It says because of that, but actually there could be many reasons compounded, right? And that's true, you know. I will go a little bit more on this afterwards. So adolescent or youth, you are at this age, and actually in you are all very energetic, very healthy, and hopefully also mentally sound and good. You are future leaders. You are studying. You are very smart in Uni 10, right? Engineering and whatever courses. So you are also at the same time building your own identity. You're outside. You're probably on your own already. You have increased independence and responsibility. You have to worry about your food. No one's preparing your food. And maybe some of you working extra to earn extra to pay fees and rentals. And maybe some of you also are starting new intimate relationships. So if you have a breakup with your partner, that can be stressing. And you are starting to have mixed emotions sometimes from breakups, or you have mood fluctuations, maybe fights with friends, and you are learning to solve problems. So you are experiencing new things daily. But you know, beside all this, it's actually the most fun time in your life, you know, or maybe the most, you can do a lot of things. You are going to classes, you are choosing your course, your exam, play sport, football and all. So a lot of things happening. Why are people tempted to kill themselves? Like I said, there's no single cause of suicide. It's almost difficult to believe when a teacher accused that little poor girl of stealing phone, she straightway jumped. It could be that at home, the parents are putting pressure on her, on schools, or she has been bullied or something. So suicide, there are many causes compounded, like I mentioned. Suicide happens when stressors exceed a person's capacity to cope.
They do not
so the person is
enjoy.
unable to cope already with life or with the stress, with the issues. The person feels helpless and hopeless about the future. Okay. Mental illness could be a cause. Depression could be another cause. These are the two main causes to suicide. We have heard a lot on depression. Depression and loneliness, serious personal crisis and loss of family member or friend can create that sadness in you or depression in you. Chronic pain, the moment someone hears from the doctor you have cancer, then the world comes tumbling down, and the next thing in the mind is to jump the building. Okay, that could be a cause. Alcohol and drug abuse, social exclusion, being bullied too much, you are not able to mix around well. Cultural barriers, maybe in some cultural, maybe Japanese, if they fail in something, they commit suicide. Okay, that could be several reasons. And facts about myth. Myth, as you know, is something yang macam betul tapi mungkin tak betul. Myth, those are myths. Okay, a myth on suicide, we probably think suicidal persons are crazy. Okay, this is also bad. Labeling people as crazy is very bad. Actually, it's like bullying. The fact is most suicidal persons are not crazy. Okay, so it's wrong. We cannot think that people who commit suicide are gila. Myth. All suicidal people want to die and there is nothing that can be done. Actually, those people who commit suicide, they are undecided whether want to live or want to die. They gamble with death, leaving others to rescue them. Okay. Actually, many times they call for help before attempting suicide. Okay, that's the fact. And another myth, people who talk about suicide rarely attempt or commit suicide. Also wrong. If you hear someone talking about dying, that is something you need to worry. Nearly 80% of those who attempt or commit suicide give some sort of warning to their intentions. Okay, so like I said, we look out on this and offer help. Okay. Just one more myth. The last one. Talking to someone about suicidal feeling will cause them to commit suicide. Talking to someone about suicidal feeling. Okay. If you hear of someone talking about suicide, normally we will avoid talking about suicide. Actually, talking to them about suicide specifically will make a person feel relief, and maybe they will finally recognize their emotional pain, and they also will feel safer talking specifically about it. Okay. So what do we do? Okay, we want to help, right? We don't want anyone to die. What we are doing now, we are increasing our knowledge and awareness about mental health. Very, very important, as I mentioned, especially now. You are not able to go out as often as you like. You are not able to meet people, even to dine. Maybe now you can. Earlier, you cannot even go out to have dinner with friends, someone you enjoy doing. It has, and it affects our lives, actually. Mothers will be more depressed having to prepare food for all the meals, and we are not helping also. At least we can help by saying, food is good, tolong sikit-sikit. So mental awareness about mental health. Be aware of changes in mood or behavior that might be a warning sign that something is wrong. Okay, so we want to be aware of these things. We want to be observant a little bit. We can help because of those who committed suicide or have thoughts about it, 90% of them struggle in mental health, depression. Okay, they struggle. That's why they are undecided about life. Okay. Depressed people are actually hoping that someone would talk and listen to them. They do believe happiness is out there, but they are not getting it. Okay, so these are depressed. What's inside the depressed person? It's good to help to listen. Provide our shoulder. We listen. We empathize. Okay, these people also believe there's a way out, but they cannot get out. All these people need help, and we must help them. Okay, helping those who are highly affected. We show our concern. We ask, how are you today? Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Say hi. Can we do something about this? After this, we go makan. We listen. When we listen, we must listen attentively and non-judgmentally. This also was discussed earlier. We must listen with our heart. We listen properly. We look in their eyes. We listen. We tell them that they are not alone. There is treatment if they need help. Help's available, like Shalini mentioned. all sort of help is available, from counselors, from calling hotlines. We can recommend to them. Encourage, like I said, talk to counselors, professionals, and if they are in a state of not sure about life at that moment, do not leave that person alone unsupervised. We arrange help and accompany them to get professional help. There are many ways to help, but these are the things that we learn, that we are sharing with you. And when question, what you want to say to someone you know, how are you coping? How are you coping really? You have had this problem. I see you are being alone for many days already, but you are still going to class and so on. So how have you been coping all this while? You start them talking. Is there anything that you need? This is all in English, of course. Whatever language that your conversation is on, you use that language. Who do you have for support? Maybe you are close to your mother. It's good to talk to someone close. I will stay with you. You are not alone. These are things, some of the things you can say. Can I get you something? I can go with you if you want to see a doctor or if you want to see a counselor. Like I said, also ask about suicidal behavior specifically. How you can put it is, do you have thoughts of harming yourself or ending your life? You can actually ask question. Initially, me also, I thought by asking this question, you are just encouraging that person to even jump, do it. But actually, it will not. It encourages that person to talk and to act, to vent, okay, which will be helpful actually. So how do you ask that suicide question? Are you feeling so bad that you are thinking of suicide? You see, very direct, you ask. Have you thought about how you would do it? Also very, very direct. When the person thinks about how to take his or her life, jumping or cutting the wrist, you start to imagine, oh my God, it's not so easy, right? It's painful. So maybe the person will start thinking about the reality, the pain. Do you have what you need? Do you have what you need to do it? Do you have the knife? It gives me shivers just to think about it, to ask even. It will be a difficult situation. It's easy for me to say, but when it comes to that situation, it can be challenging. But these are the ways recommended by experts, by professionals. Also, you can ask, have you thought about when you want to do it? Also very specific. When are you going to jump next week? So the person will start thinking, just climbing the staircase to go to the top of the building is not easy actually. It's very painful. Helpful is someone. Okay. When they have someone to listen, it's very helpful. When they have someone whom they can trust, it's helpful. Someone who shows that they care is helpful. Okay, I just want to focus on this page on harmful. Rejection. You know that your friend is having problem coping or going through day-to-day life things. Don't reject them. They're still your friend. So just accept them as normal or even pay more attention. Advisors can be harmful if you start to say, why don't you do this instead of, if the person is breaking up with a girlfriend, why don't you find another girlfriend? You are giving advice. It can be harmful to that person because the person maybe wants to be loyal to the girl or whatever reason, but the advice can be totally a wrong advice. Criticize the person, criticizing, hey, what are you jumping, you are crazy. So that is criticizing. That's very, very bad. Interrogative approaches like policemen asking interrogative question. Why are you feeling this way? Why why can be stressful to that person. Okay, this is covered quite extensively by Shalini and also by Lakian, when to refer for psychiatric services when there is presence of suicidal intent, a plan is apparent or attempt has happened, or when you are unsure or in doubt of suicide risk, you're not sure the person is okay or not, looks like he's so down, when you are concerned of the person's risk of suicide, also very similar. So that's when you try to find professional help, psychiatric services or someone professional, counselor or something. Okay, a person who's feeling hopeless, if there's a sense of connectedness, that will be very, very helpful, you know. Connectedness to family, to community, to friends. So that's when you play your role of connecting them to the world again. It's an important factor that keeps people wanting to live, something to look forward to. You know, just like anyone, like you all many of you looking forward to coming back to campus, meeting people. So that is the sense of connectedness. Okay, almost ending here. But doing all this, you must remember we all to look after ourselves. We must maintain our good health, physical, mental, because we want to help people, so we have to take care of ourselves. You know, it's only fair to ourselves, right? You do not have to help or manage someone all by yourself. You can feel that someone might be at risk. If you feel, tell someone else or seek help, seek advice or help, refer. Okay, that is very important. Okay, actually, I'm almost ending, and just to share with you, as mentioned also by earlier befrienders, our primary aim as befrienders here is suicide prevention through emotional support, and that's our telephone number for Penang, that is. And of course, there are other centers in KL, in even Kota Kinabalu we have. That's our email, that's our WhatsApp, and we have also Facebook. And I believe this is the last page. We may not be able to change the whole world, but we can change the little world of someone. Okay. So remember that. And with that, I thank again all of you for listening. And back to you, Miss Umaira.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Husairi. So as to what is shared just now, the numbers or statistics of people who have committed suicide is indeed alarming. And thus this conversation on mental health is very important, in a way could be therapeutic and best to raise awareness amongst our society. All right, so now we are open to any questions from the audience. Also, we have collected some questions from the participants upon their registration, so I'll just read them. Okay, so I'll open this question to any of the speaker. The question is how to counter the feelings of emptiness.
I will take that question. How to counter the feelings of emptiness?
Yeah.
Okay. When you're feeling empty, you note. Can you note why? What causes the emptiness? Try to question yourself and try to probe your feelings, your emotions. And from there, if you think it's stress from certain specific areas, I believe you'll be able to deduce that specific area. Then you try to overcome what is causing the emptiness. What is worrying you? What is of concern? And that is actually self-awareness. Whatever we do, we have to be aware of what's happening in our mind, physically, and also mentally. And so we try to de-stress ourselves. And if there's any anxiety, of course, find ways to overcome the anxiety. And perhaps if you find that you cannot handle that emptiness alone, find someone you trust to confide in that someone you trust, share your feelings, and that someone I believe will be able to support you emotionally. Okay. Would Shalini or Kusari like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll just also, when you have that feeling, try to look at the big picture. Remember, as student, your initial goal as a student is, of course, to finish the study, and maybe next week there's a big exam. So look at it, look at the big picture. So you can refocus back to why you are there as a student. You want to do well in school, in your classes, in your exam. So maybe with that you can a little bit forget about the emptiness feeling and refocus back to why you are there.
Okay,
Thanks.
so for the next question, what do I do if I was the last person they call before they attempt suicide? Maybe this is for Mr. Kusairi.
Okay, say again the question.
What should I do if I was the last person they call before suicide?
Wow, okay. If they call me, someone's committing suicide, they call you to see if you can help. It is it's quite difficult because it is situational. If the person is at the point of jumping, then not anyone can help in your situation. So I'm hoping here maybe Lakan or Shalini can help to provide some insight in these or answers, because I may not be able to think of one at this point.
Okay, if there is someone on the verge of committing suicide and that someone calls me, I would first thing ask that person where he or she is, and ask the person to step away. For example, if he or she is on top of a tall building, then to step away from the verge of the building first. If the person is having a lethal means, for example, a weapon or a bottle of sleeping pills to swallow, then I will ask the person to put down the weapon and to put down that bottle of sleeping pills first, and then talk to that person. Tell me what is going through your mind. Share with me. Would you like to tell me more? That means encourage that person to talk and encourage that person to explore options. I believe that at that point he or she doesn't see the options. So first and foremost is to calm the person down, lead the person away from the danger point first, and then provide emotional support and explore options with that person until that person feels comfortable. Until that person tells you, okay, no, now I feel okay. I feel that the world is not ending for me yet. Then only you can leave that person alone. But follow up if you can. If that means that person knows you. If that person is calling you, that means that person knows you and trusts you. So provide that trust. But if you feel that you cannot provide that trust, then bring in a professional who can support you and provide is calling you with that support that you cannot provide. Okay, hope that answers your question.
Okay, so the next question. Will going to the shrink will fix all my problems? But I'm scared if my medical record, if I have one, would affect my career if I go there.
Would you repeat that question, please?
Okay. Will going to the shrink will fix all my problems? But I'm scared if my medical record, if I have one, would affect my career if I go there.
I think if meeting a psychiatrist will affect the future, because the medical record will show, psychiatrist appointment or something, or medication. will it affect his future? So he it's a stigma to people, right? Going to see psychiatrists. They don't want to go and see psychiatrists because we worry people will label them as gila or that lah, or crazy. So
Actually, the most important thing is how have you recovered? If you feel that you have recovered well, then you don't have to tell the world that you have a medical record like this, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, because you show that you are able to manage your life well, and so holding down a job should not be a problem. But if holding down a job is a problem, even if you don't tell anybody that you have a medical report, people will see that you are not performing well. So it's very important to treat, if let's say a person has psychiatric problem, then it's very important to get the correct treatment from proper professionals and get yourself cured. The person must get himself or herself cured, which is more important than worrying about the stigma.
Yeah, and if I can add also, actually there are medical problem not related to mental problem that you need to see psychiatrists. For example, bipolar disorder, or no, for example, thyroid problem. Thyroid can cause bipolar disorder, but it is due to the deficiency of thyroid hormones, actually. Because the bipolar problem caused by shortage of hormone or something like that. So you see psychiatrists not just because you have mental problem. It's also because of other clinical problems that you may have. So people have to remind. So that's the problem now. People have that stigma, and a lot of people see, if you see psychiatrists, there's a problem in your mental. So it's not all that. So seeing psychiatrists could be due to other reasons also. Because if you cannot sleep, sometimes doctor will make appointment to see psychiatrist if you have problem sleeping. They want to check if you are depressed or something, causing you the insomnia.
Okay, I would
just
like
to add on.
Sorry, say Shalini, you want to add? You go ahead and add first.
Right. Yeah, just a bit. So basically, from what we know, it is illegal for any employer to discriminate against the individual who had, a previous mental health condition. They cannot, simply just, for example, fire them or reject them for a job promotion, or forcing them to take leave just because they had, a previous mental health condition. Yeah, unless it's impairing their work, then they can, sit and discuss with them. Yeah, so it is something which is has to be understandable between all parties as well. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, good. What I want to add is actually, we have the power to control our mind. Okay. Yeah, as Professor Carol Dweck say, build a growth mindset and overcome whatever challenges we have in life in a positive way. Okay, it's easier said than done, but then practice makes perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we have time for one or two more questions. So sometimes when people have space, do we really have to just wait and not contact them at all? So
when the person wants space, then you give that person space, but you must give that person attention. By not contacting that person, you may not be giving that attention that person actually needs. Right? What do you think, Shalini? Right? Actually, a cry for help, right?
Actually, yes. Because sometimes, usually, the person is going through a mental health condition. They say they need space and they do not seek for help just at that moment. So it's okay to give them, some space, But it shouldn't be like too prolonged of a period, because if you are someone who is important to them, you can, sort of judge, okay, this is the space that's given, and you still see some, signs and symptoms occurring in this person. You can definitely, try to give them attention, and you talk to them, try calling up them, and get them to share what they are going through with you. So I think it's seeing how you can organize giving them the space, and also after the space, giving them the attention that they need. Yeah, thanks.
All right, so the last question, how to handle the situation where a friendship or both are mentally ill?
Question again, sorry.
Both
mentally ill.
Both.
A relationship where both are mentally ill.
Oh.
I will presume that if both knows that they are mentally ill, they are under psychiatric treatment. So if their psychiatric conditions are managed under treatment, that means being treated and managed, that means they can lead normal lives. They can have some sort of normalcy, and if they can manage their lives well, then they are actually very close to normal people, but with a medical condition which is under treatment. Now, that means they are on medication and maybe therapy, which helps them to lead a normal life, isn't it? Right? So it's very important that if a person has mental conditions, very important is to know yourself and then seek medical help and therapeutic help as well, because there are lots of therapy nowadays that can help us manage our mental issues.
Yeah, just to add on to that, basically, if both couple, right, they are facing some mental health issues such as depression, it is good to have probably a bit of a time for themselves individually to recuperate from their own depressive feelings, because if they do not get treated, probably it will result in more relationship issues. So it's good for them individually to sort of set a space for themselves, but still connected. We can still connect them, probably online or virtually, but work on themselves. So practice self-care for themselves. Having a social support as well would be good, apart from both, the couples, and seeking any counselor's help, or professional help if they need. So I think it's good to rebuild themselves while having that, phase to rebuild themselves to build a better relationship together. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 9:51. So that is the end for the Q&A session. So finally, we have come to the end of our event. Thank you so much for the respected speakers for sharing their thoughts and opinions, and also how we could actually handle these mental illnesses. And for the listeners, I hope everyone could take away as much as we could from tonight's sharings. So most importantly, that we need to take away is that these mentioned mental health issues is not actually a cry for attention. Like, people actually need help. Whatever your feelings are, they are valid, and instead of harboring these thoughts, express them. And also, it's best to have a great foundation or support system. So I think that's the end. So to all Unit 10 students or participants here, you can open your cameras at the picture session with the speakers.
No, Maisura, there's a participant who raised his hand. Would you like to ask? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
Hi, my name is Lee Buntong. I have no question, but I would like to add in a little bit of what I know about this suicide prevention awareness. I hope I'm not taking too much time. You see, we are doing all out. Yeah, we are going all out to promote this awareness of mental health. You see, as just now the question mentioned about the reluctance of going to see psychiatrists because of future career problems and so on. You see how drastic the stigma is. So we are so happy that the Unit 10 is organizing such an important forum to raise this awareness, and I hope every attendance here, you are the future bosses, right? You are the future leaders, and you are the batch who can, like us, go all out to make this mental health awareness to the highest extent, you know. And I would like to share one point is that if somebody calls you for the last time and he's going to commit suicide, you should be very privileged, although it's very high tension. Yeah? So because you are privileged that this friend who are so care and call you for the one last time, and there's one technique that you can use at the very moment, that is season one, who are the one last time that you call, I would like to ask you what the last favor that you can do to me. Please leave the dangerous place for me. You understand what I mean? You can ask the favor of the caller that since I'm the most important people that you last call me, I would like to ask the last favor from you to stay away the danger. That is a little technique that we can use to persuade, to ask or to demand the caller to keep away from the danger. Okay, right? So please, all attendants, please go all out to promote the mental health awareness, because we know that mental health and physical health are just equally important. See? But mental health is much neglected. So please go all out to do whatever you can to the best extent to promote the awareness of mental health. You are the future bosses and you are the future leader. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Buntong. And just to let everyone know, Buntong is a fellow befriender, and we thank him for sharing these important points. Thank you, Buntong.
Thank you so much. That was very inspiring. All right, so I believe we have come to the end of the event. So let us allow for the photo session. So everyone is allowed to open their cameras so that we could take pictures with the speakers.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. More time. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so thank you all. So to all Unit 10 students, please scan the QR code for your score runs, and the link will be shared in the chat box. And with that being said, thank you again to everyone for participating and engaging in this event. And with that being said, good night and have a good weekend.
Good night and have a lovely weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.